Is it in any way a burden to you that people know the name Avery Fisher?
Well, they assume that people who have their names on concert halls are dead, you see. No, I no longer associate at that place that name particularly with myself. It's, you know, it's like a logo, that's all, really. And I go there, like everybody else, to enjoy what takes place.
Avery Fisher Hall is the main concert hall in the Lincoln Center Performing Arts Complex in New York City. It is grand, elegant, and comfortable. More than 400 musical events take place here each year, attended by almost 1 million people, including Avery Fisher and his wife, Janet.
There's such a pleasure in saturating yourself with gorgeous sound, with the harmonies of this world. The harmonies that are completely removed from the realities outside that hall.
The reality is that the hall is what it is today, in good measure because of Avery Fisher. He gave $10 million in 1973 for an endowment to cover the operation and maintenance of one of the buildings in the complex, then called Philharmonic Hall.
Music, for me, has always been a source of solace in what we all know is a very untidy world. In 1969, I was then 63 years of age. Having worked very hard for many years, I decided to do something else for the rest of my life. Well, up until that time, all my assets were tied up in my company. But by selling my company in 1969, I generated some cash at long last.
The company was Fisher Radio, started by him in 1937 with one employee. It became internationally successful, producing top-of-the-line high-fidelity equipment for the home. An early model is included in the collection of the Smithsonian Institution.
That money, those assets, had to come from somewhere. Had to have come from somewhere, and that somewhere were the music lovers of this world who bought my equipment. And I felt, and I have no regrets, I wanted to give some of it back in a form that would make sense and give pleasure to as many people as possible.
But for many, the hall had not been giving pleasure. Since it first opened, there had been severe criticism of its acoustics. So, Avery Fisher gave another $500,000 towards a major interior renovation.
I like to think that I have a pair of ears that can discriminate as to what's good and what isn't good. Philharmonic Hall wasn't as bad as some people said it was, and it was not as good as some people claimed it was. It could have been better.
When it reopened in late 1976, renamed Avery Fisher Hall, the consensus was that it was better, a fitting home for the New York Philharmonic, a major concert hall in the world. A native New Yorker, Fisher was not born wealthy. He wanted to be a doctor, but there was no money for medical school when the Depression came. During the early 30s, he worked part-time in an advertising agency and also did ghostwriting.
Plastic surgeon would give me the French-English version of what he wanted to say, and I would put it into English. To give you an idea of the sort of problems he faced, he wanted to know if you had more than one footnote on a page, why were they not referred to as feet notes?
This is a quiet evening at home with the Fishers, some 20 guests, and music, played coincidentally by 3 Avery Fisher Prize winners.
I would say those are my greatest moments of joy. Not only music in a concert hall, but particularly music in the home. I think it was in the middle of last month that we had, as an example, chamber music at home with Elmar Oliveira, Yo-Yo Ma, and Emanuel Ax playing 2 Brahms piano trios. To me, there's no greater joy than having that kind of talent in your own living room.
Clearly, he is a man who cares not only about music, but about the musicians as well. Part of the proceeds from his original endowment to Lincoln Center are used for the Avery Fisher Prize.
The Avery Fisher Prize, awarded to Elmar Oliveira for outstanding achievement in music, April 20th, 1983. Elmar?
A non-competitive award, it is given to notable American musicians who are selected by a renowned committee. A modest man, he is not without honors.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Manhattan School of Music and by the Board of Regents of the State of New York, I now confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Music with all the rights, privileges, immunities, and obligations thereunto appertaining.
Do you think of yourself as a musical Medici, at least in New York City?
I hate the word Medici. I hate the word philanthropist. I'm a guy who was very fortunate economically. With a great deal of luck and effort, I developed some spare cash. And I remember reading an article quite recently, I think it was in Harvard Magazine. One of their important benefactors said very simply, he said, it's a lot of fun to make money. It's not so much fun to have to manage it intelligently, but the greatest fun of all is giving it away. And that's the way I feel.